Good morning. It is morning. It's 13th of May. Today is the 86th day. 86? Damn, it is 86. Got up this morning, feeling pretty good. Came downstairs, and the girl told me that she had a bad night's sleep because the neighbor's heat pump kicked on a bunch of times during the night and was making a racket. I think he has a heat pump slash air conditioner. I don't know. I haven't looked up, but it's enormous. It is. It's a very big unit, and that combined with her fan sitting in the window that was open was keeping her up. So I said, "Well, why don't you just close the window and just turn the air on so you don't hear it what's going on outside and you can get your temperature where you want it?" And she's like, "I'm not doing that while it's 37 degrees outside." I'm getting frustrated just recalling the conversation, and I'm like, so you'd rather live by the principle that when it's cold outside you don't want to use the air and keep yourself awake and not sleep well because of the noises outside than just close the window and use the air that we have that's pumped in. Anyway, she got salty. She got salty about it, and then before she left, she was a bit emotional. I think it's her time of the month at the moment, so she's at that place where women tend to be a little more sensitive to criticism. So learning point for me anyway, a reminder not to criticize her decisions and more just to go, oh, that sucks, yep. Because that's the key. Don't care, don't get engaged, don't try to make it, don't try to fix the problem, just listen, or sometimes just pretend to listen and nod your head and move on. God, it still shits me though. It still shits me. I don't mind. Like, I'm not the kind of person, like in our household as the husband, I'm not the kind of guy that's like, oh, I want the air to be on freezing all the time, no matter what. Like when it's cold out, I want the heat up. I like it between, it's like 65 and 68, and that ballpark is ideal for me. In the basement, 65 is a little cold, but I have slippers and nice warm socks, so and we have blankets, so it's not such a big deal. Like I can manage that. But um, but when it gets warmer in the summer, there's this couple of months where we lock horns about uh, about turning the air on and letting the air cool the place down instead of having the windows open. And I like having the windows open. I like in the morning. It's nice to hear the bird song first thing, and in the evening, if it's rained and the frogs are out and you can hear them going, it's nice. Like we live kind of far away from where the big amounts of trees, the sort of the wooded area is on this property. But we're close enough that we can hear all the animals as they're doing their business and stuff, and that's nice at night. But once the temperature gets up to a certain point, I'm like, yep, windows closed, air on, back to air conditioning. Like I'm happy with that. But with her, it's like every night, look at the phone. Is it going to be is it less than 60 degrees outside? If so, window open, air off. Um, so yeah. Anyway, the things that couples, argue about. I mean, we'll put it this way. As far as a problem goes, for a married man, a wife that would rather have the windows open and not be burning through energy is definitely a better problem to have than the opposite problem where you're spending 180 bucks on energy every month because she doesn't want anything open. Um, and to be honest, that goes out into the rest of our marriage. It's nice that she was raised poor and thrifty, and her mum did a pretty good job at being thrifty, so she's followed a lot of those behaviors. And I came up pretty poor, um, and thrifty as well. So between the two of us, we do well. The difference is, having moved from New Zealand to here, the cost of energy is much lower here. So I don't mind turning the air on because it's cheap. It doesn't cost that much to run. It's the difference maybe to have the air running in a month might be the difference, $20 to $30 extra on the bill. And I'm like, $20, like a buck a day, a couple of bucks a day to keep the house cold is fine by me. So yeah, but again, that's a problem, a very small problem in relation to all the other problems. I went out and got some inserts for the feet, hoping that helps with the Achilles. I'll be reffing a game tomorrow up north of where I live. Another high school game should be pretty competitive. One of the teams I have seen play, they have they completely destroyed the other team that I at the last game that I ref for them, and one of their players is actually he's basically on the cusp of adult level gaming or adult level play within like the local league, and it's good to watch that level of skill and to have to referee that level of skill, because it means that I have to do a better job and be a little more creative, keeping everyone else enjoying. One of the things in rugby is when you have an overstacked team versus a team that's not so much, is that you find the team that gets their pants stripped off, they lose morale and they don't want to play as hard or play at all. And keeping it competitive is one of the ways that, as a referee, is like one of the challenges as a referee, to being able to balance the way that you police the game or monitor the game and sort of guide the game. One of the considerations is everyone having a good time? Am I having a good time? Is the winning team having a good time? Is the losing team still having a good time? Because if the losing team isn't having a good time, then they're progressively going to get worse and worse, and the other team is going to see that, and it's not going to feel as good. There won't be as much competitiveness, and there's not that many people who like everything to be a complete spanking all the time. Like when I video gamed competitively, I used to see that if you were on a team, there would always be one kid who was like complete shit talking at the end of the round, and everyone else kind of felt bad. Especially, like, for example, if you were in a game and it was 6-on-4. The other team had two players drop off at the beginning of the game, and so it was 6-on-4, and it was a complete it was just a one-sided whitewash. I never enjoyed those games. I always enjoyed the games where it was more challenging and it was down to the wire. And at the time, you don't enjoy it because you're like trying to get it in. But once you had won the game, or once maybe they were successful in defending at the last minute, and you weren't quite able. The thing I'm thinking of at the moment is Overwatch with the pushing the cart. See, I haven't played it in so long, I've forgotten even the generic terminology for the damn thing. Was it demolition? I forget. The one where you push the cart along by being in proximity to the cart. Anyway, some of those maps, there's the potential for really good defense at the very last point, and you would get it all the way through and you'd be thinking, oh, this is going to be great, we're going to finish, this is going to be easy, it'll be a good win. And then you get to the end and they suddenly they dig in and they get their team comp just right, and then they hold at that last point. And it's frustrating, but at the same time it keeps you engaged, and the enjoyment factor's there because it's competitive. And it's the same in rugby with teams that are stacked with players or who have a bigger team, physically a bigger team. So it should be interesting to see how that plays out. I'm excited for next week. I'm looking forward to picking up LA Noire. I have been holding off talking with the girl about it because I want it to be a surprise for the next date night, which we do on Wednesdays. And I'll be past 90 days by that point, so I'll go and pick it up probably from a GameStop or something secondhand. And yeah, I'm excited to bust that out and do that, because we've watched a lot of the movies that we had sort of had on our list of movies to watch, and we've been slowly working our way through the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but she can really only do like one of those movies every couple of weeks because they're so long. They're long, and action packed and full of side information and throwbacks and Easter eggs and all that kind of stuff. So we typically I tend to leave those as like once every couple of weeks. We'll maybe watch it on like a Friday night or a Saturday night or something. So on date nights we've been kind of running out of films to watch, and we've been cycling back through older films. We watched Dusk Till Dawn, and last night we watched Waiting, which is another funny movie. It's a comedy with one of Ryan Reynolds' earliest movies. And yeah, so it'll be nice to switch back to a different activity on date nights for a change. And yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, potentially, maybe picking up Ghost of Tsushima and using that as a thing for me to do when she's out working out in the evenings or hanging with her friends. It'd be nice to have something to do. I've been noticing for me, now that the weather's getting better, it's been easier to get outside and do stuff. And I have a project. Someone threw out an old pallet, and it's actually in really good condition. So I'm going to break that up and build a boot rack, like a shoe rack for the next to the door, out of that. But outside of those types of projects, I haven't really been enjoying so much the TV watching. I've run out of the stuff that I wanted to catch up on, and most of the stuff that I'm watching is just rehashes. I did watch Dark Phoenix yesterday, and I thought it was going to be worse than it was. It was still pretty bad, but yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Michael Fassbender really does carry that has carried the X-Men a long way, and it was a shame. It was a shame what they did with that last movie. Anyway, but yeah, it'll be nice to have something to do outside, but also to have something a little different to do inside that I can do when it's raining, because it's been pretty wet this season, and also when the girl's not home and it's evening time and I don't want to be outside in the dark by myself. So yeah. Anyway, that's it for me today. Feeling pretty good. And like I've been talking about a bit, is looking forward to the 90-day ending to see, to have kind of a reflection on what's changed and what's been good and what's been bad and what's been easy, what's been hard. Kind of have a chance to hash that all out. So looking forward to that. Anyway, that's it for me. Ka kite.